Thank you. I call Colette Stevenson to be followed by Alexander Stewart.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. Our economy is struggling, and the effects of the pandemic and the war in Ukraine on rising costs have been really hard, including fuel bills going through the roof. But those international challenges have been exacerbated by the political choices made by Westminster governments. Scotland suffered 14 years of austerity from a Tory government we did not vote for, with huge consequences on public spending. We were dragged out of the European Union against our will, a decision estimated to cut revenue by £2.3 billion annually in Scotland. Now, to put that figure into context, the economic damage each year of Brexit is large enough to run Scotland's justice system for around 8 months, courts, prisons and the police service. Next, of course, we had the disastrous mini-budget from Liz Truss, leading to sky-high inflation and people's mortgages increasing drastically. We now have the Labour Party back in power in Westminster, and they promised change before the election. But all of their plans and policies sound like the same old Westminster austerity tune. Hear, hear. In fact, it seems that Labour don't have a clue what their policies actually are. Anna Sarwar famously said, "Read my lips, no austerity under Labour before the election," while Keir Starmer and the now Chancellor seemed oblivious to the fact that keeping Tory fiscal rules would mean continued austerity. But as soon as they got into power, the Prime Minister said that people will have to suffer and that the October budget will be tough. And the Chancellor talked about a supposedly unknown black hole of £22 billion and pushed through public spending cuts. These actions from consecutive Westminster governments offer absolutely no fiscal sustainability. Unfortunately, in terms of fiscal policy, the Scottish Government is working with one hand tied behind its back. We have limited tax-raising powers, and the UK Government controls most economic levers and borrowing powers. However, despite those limitations, the SNP leads a fiscally responsible Scottish Government, which has delivered a balanced budget in each of the past 17 years. We also introduced a more progressive income tax, increasing the revenue available to the Scottish Government by around £1.5 billion this year, allowing us to protect people in Scotland from the full harms of the failed Westminster economic system. The SNP and Government created the game-changing Scottish Child Payment as well, a policy which is helping to keep children out of poverty, with payments of over £100 per month for every eligible child. The SNP Scottish Government is spending £134 million this year to mitigate against some of the worst aspects of Westminster austerity, including the Labour-enforced bedroom tax. Of course, one of Labour's first choices in government was to scrap the winter fuel payment for millions of pensioners. This benefit was due to be devolved to Scotland this winter. However, with no notice, Labour scrapped the universal payment, a move which will cut Scotland's budget by around £160 million. This decision reinforces the fact that for as long as our budget is tied to decisions that are taken in Westminster, we will not be immune from the painful UK Government budgets. In fact, in new analysis, the House of Commons Library found that Scotland's block grant is worth nearly £6.5 billion, or 13% less in real terms than it was in 2021. Tomorrow, the Chancellor must take a different approach in her first budget. Labour should learn the lessons of the past 14 years and not repeat the same damaging mistakes as the Tories. You can't cut your way to prosperity or better public services, and you can't eradicate poverty by making people poorer. In tomorrow's budget, Labour must reverse the winter fuel payment cuts, remove the two-child limit on benefits and deliver greater investment to tackle child poverty, and use the levers they have to end austerity. Presiding Officer, economic experts have warned that continued austerity will damage public services and the economy, and that the Westminster fiscal framework has helped to drive this short-term thinking and created an inbuilt bias against investment. And in contrast, the SNP in government recognises the need for investment and for sustainable public finances. The Scottish Government will create a 5-year fiscal sustainable delivery plan and will continue to invest our vital public services. Members across the Chamber should support these moves. And we also need to see the UK Government move to multi-year funding to provide more fiscal certainty. And I hope Labour use the powers they have in tomorrow's UK budget to end austerity and deliver investment in our public services.
Thank you.